This is the Muddy Boots Podcast, a podcast for those who have been or are stuck in the mud. Building a community of those who are with each other all the way. Hello, welcome to the Muddy Boots Podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Roger.
And we are your hosts, as always, for the Muddy Boots Podcast. And we're here today with a guest.
Yeah. Heidi Sumner.
So we're super excited about that.
Yeah. Heidi's a friend of mine, and she actually works down at the Southeast YMCA.
Sweet.
And are you what are you, staff of the year or something?
I was for 2022.
Oh, she was staff of the year
for 2022?
I was.
She was.
Danny and I, yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
I know.
You know what else we can congratulate ourselves on?
What? I know. Look at this. We got them.
Got all three of us wearing them today. They're
I'm
here.
excited. Look at that.
Yep.
It's got us on the side right there.
Yep.
No, turn around so you can see the back. Oh, what, you want me to do this too?
No, you want me to turn around
Well,
so you can see.
so they can see. Look.
Oh my goodness, this is so dumb. All right, hold on.
I did it. You don't have to. No, fine. Look at my money, please.
All right. Look at my buddy boot, please.
Yes.
Yeah. So together we're buddy boots, but
Yes.
we're only one boot if
I'm
it's
the
just
right
one
boot.
of us.
He's the left boot. Or the wrong boot. I don't know how you went.
Yeah. So, so we are, we're excited to have a guest today.
Yeah.
It's been a little while since we've had a guest. We've been doing the solos for a bit. But we had an annual event for the YMCA,
The Chairman's Roundtable, CRT dinner, for all those people that give generously to the YMCA. And I asked Heidi if she would talk at it. And she did.
Yeah. How did that go?
Well, I thought it went great. I really did. People were crying when she got done. It could have been my face, but
Well, yeah, I was going to ask, what did you do at a Q&A with Roger? And it was just like too much, too soon.
no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry. I interrupted you. I rudely interrupted you.
Well, you were encouraging me. I learned that from the last podcast.
Well, I want to encourage you, Roger.
Well, thank you.
You're good enough. You're smart enough.
And dang it, people like me.
Thank you for picking up the reference on that.
Absolutely. Heidi's got quite a story. Mm-hmm. And that's why I wanted her to come on and tell her story. And we can talk about it. Because, what did we talk about last time? Tapes, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about internal tapes and how it can affect you and everything else. And I think that you'll see some congruency or, some connectedness between us.
Yeah.
So,
well, I guess if you want to just tell us your story, I mean, you can start from wherever you want to start from.
and then we'll grill you.
Yeah.
Don't worry about us.
We want to know your origin story.
I was born in Kalispell, Montana, but I was raised in Anchorage, Alaska. That's where a lot of my first part of my life was in Anchorage, Alaska. Raised by two parents, had an older brother, went to high school there, graduated.
Did you know Eddie?
Yeah, I didn't know Eddie, but coincidentally, we were going to something out at Camp Collins, and I cut Eddie off, and he saw the Alaska stickers in my back window. And so we got to talking. We graduated the same year, but separate high schools.
Oh, that's
amazing.
That's
It's
cool.
just for context. Eddie is the chief operating officer for the YMCA, and so you don't want to cut him off.
Yeah, he said I didn't, but I know for a fact I did. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I know when I do things. So yeah.
He wanted to be nice, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yes, because Eddie is a very nice guy.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So you came from Anchorage, Alaska.
I did. And then actually moved back to Montana, but at Great Falls, met my ex-husband, who was actually in prison, that I'd met through my uncle. And it's where kind of a second part of my journey with addiction and stuff came into more play. But had 3 kids, raised my kids as a single parent for quite a while because there was a lot of back and forth with him. Then moved back to Alaska to be near family and stuff and start that journey of recovery and stuff, which took a little while being in Alaska because I was still with my ex for a little while. Got into some trouble, was doing drugs, really affecting my kids' lives, both of us. Got into more trouble and then did some time and then came out. A few months was a bit of a struggle. And then I finally decided that I needed to stop. I was affecting my kids' lives. I was affecting my life. I was affecting my family. And I just didn't want to be on that downward spiral anymore. So him and I kind of separated. He ended up having to go back to Montana. But I got clean cold turkey. I didn't go to rehab. I was always one that didn't really believe in rehab. But I just stopped cold turkey. It was hard. I struggled. Coincidentally, never relapsed, which I'm completely amazed by because that is, statistically, that is a common thing.
Especially with someone who didn't go to rehab. You got to be pretty proud of yourself.
No, I'm extremely proud of myself. I mean, I get down on myself quite a bit, but I also know deep, it's kind of going back to those tapes. I know what I've done. I know my wrongs. I've tried to right my wrongs. And I feel like, working for YMCA and the journey that I have been on has, righted some of my wrongs. Don't know if I'll ever be able to completely forgive myself for the things I did. And it's not necessarily me, because I have learned that I need to forgive people, not for them, but for myself. But at the same time, I don't know how to do that for myself. I do know that a lot of people that I hurt in the past have forgiven me and, we're friends and stuff to this day. I've hurt family. I've hurt my kids. My kids were on a really long, struggle, journey right along with me and my ex. And so, I hope I've done something right. And I feel like a lot of it, kind of in my life now revolves around the why. Yeah. So I really try to, have people understand that people do make mistakes and people should be given second chances, third chances for, whatever. There should be no number. 'Cause I've had quite a few of them.
Yeah. I want to go back to more of the beginning. But before I go there, I just want to encourage you. 'Cause, when I went to college, right, I kind of fell away from God when I was in college. And I had gone far enough away that when he was starting to call me back, that I could forgive everybody, but I couldn't forgive me. So how could he forgive me?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I walked with him so tight all the way up through high school.
Yeah.
And it was like I just threw away my best friend. So how can he forgive me for that? So I can't forgive me for that. That's where, but you know what? That's the enemy talking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's who that is.
And I realize that I'm always going to have that in me, because my journey, I'm still was an addict longer than I've been clean. At that point, I still got about a year and a half. In June, it'll be 18 years that I've been clean, but it was 19 years of, active addiction.
Yeah.
So I'm almost hoping that, once I get past that hump that, I've clearly passed a lot of humps because, relapse is, it still could happen.
Right.
Even 18 years later, that doesn't mean that something cannot take me down, because the hardcore times in my addiction, hard things happened that threw me into that tailspin. And my biggest one was at the age of 19 when I lost my brother. And that was a demon in a downward spiral that, continued for quite a few years.
How did you get started with drugs?
So I started drugs when I was about 11. 10, 11-year-olds nowadays are a lot different than 10, 11-year-olds when I was a kid. my first actual drug, besides weed, I mean, I'm kind of one of those weird ones where weed's a little kind of different for me, but a thing called Rush. I was in junior high, and it's it's something that you sniff.
Oh.
And
so like a huffer or something?
Yeah, like kind of like a huffing type thing. And I it's so weird that I don't remember a lot of my addiction things that happened, but I remember that. I was in junior high. I was junior high at that time. And it took me into a weird mental state, and I went crazy, and I started running up and down the hallways like security was, chasing after me. Wow. I ended up in the bathroom, hiding in a stall, thinking nobody was going to find me. And of course they found me. So that's like my first recollection of, for one, in some ways overdosing, because I was in, a really weird mental state.
Altered.
Yeah, altered state, yeah. And my addiction pretty much just continued from there. It was mostly drinking acid and smoking weed. I was a big drinker as a teenager. And part of my recovery now is being clean from drugs, but not necessarily alcohol, because everybody's journey is different. Alcohol was never really an issue for me, except for when I was a teenager.
What got you started?
Honestly, I don't remember anything actually starting me. I think it's more the environment and just my friends.
Okay.
Because trying to think. So it'd be late 80s, because I graduated in 93. So it was just kind of that, leather jackets, considered a stoner, the people I hung out with, never really fit in, because I did come, from a family that was, not necessarily middle class, but lower class. Didn't have a lot of money, couldn't really live paycheck to paycheck. And my parents are actually have had addiction issues too. So I've seen it.
So it's generational.
It is generational. I have my mom and my dad, and then I have a biological dad. And my biological dad's side, I was not raised around, but addiction was very strong there too. So yes, it is very genetic based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask a question that you can feel free to just say, I don't know, or I don't want to answer it, but I'm just wondering if you've gone down this road of thinking. Do you know maybe why it is you feel like you can't forgive yourself? Because the way you talked about forgiveness, that it's for you, when you forgive others, that's huge. I mean, that's a huge self-awareness, 101, right? Mm-hmm. But you seem to have a hard time with yourself. Do you know why that is, or a sense of why that is?
I think a lot of it bases because I knew deep down inside I was a good person. So I'm like, if I am such a good person, and people tell me all the time that I'm a good person.
Heidi, you're a good person.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's good encouragement.
Why did I do this? I think as part of it, but a lot of it, I think it has to do with my kids, because I knew it was generational. I knew it was something that I could stop, and I didn't. And then now I've, taken my kids down that road. So I think there's a lot of blame there. But I really do. I think it's honestly, a lot of it is my kids. I just, I feel very responsible, because it was my choice to have them. It wasn't their choice to be here. So I feel like I've, really messed up. Yeah.
What do you think it would do if you did forgive yourself?
I think it would take a huge, off my shoulders. But I almost feel like sometimes that I kind of thrive in stress and the not forgiving myself. It weirdly, keeps me going, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Because I always have to help my kids. And, I get judged quite a bit for that how much I do help my kids. And, again, I brought my kids into this world. It is my responsibility to take care of my kids regardless how old they are, regardless of what situation they're in, because now we have grandkids that, come into play here too. Yeah. So.
Well, here's a little, my dad was a truck driver, and he's in a home now,
Yeah.
Old folk home or whatever. And they were all sitting around one day, and one of the guys says, "Yeah, I couldn't wait for my kids to be 18 so I could just," right? And my dad just looked at him and go, "When you stop being a dad?" And the guy goes, when? He goes, when they throw dirt on your face.
No.
Right?
No.
And that's so true. You know, we all make mistakes. We can have regrets in our life, right? And all those woulda, shoulda, couldas type of things. But we can't live in the woulda, shoulda, coulda land, right? And honestly, I think it's the little enemy in there saying, oh, don't forgive yourself because then you'll start screwing up on your kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Or
right?
just screwing up in general.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Relapsing,
So,
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just, a little conduit for the big man upstairs, right? I mean, I work for him.
Yeah.
And I'm not in control of my life, and he knows this, and we all know that, even though he's already forgiven you.
Yeah.
He has. All he wants to do is love you.
Yeah.
And so all you need to do is accept it.
Yeah. I mean, I think I do, but there is that little bit that's still.
Well, this is why this is so good.
Yeah.
Right? We talk about it and we get it out.
Yeah.
You know my stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think the reason why I asked the question is because you may find as you think about that and process that in many ways you may have forgiven yourself. Mm-hmm. You just don't want to say it out loud because that might, maybe take away your drive. Because what you said was that it helps drive me.
No, it makes sense.
But you can be driven in a positive way too.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's like your why story in some ways, right?
Yeah.
So the why came into your life. How did all that come about?
So I finally was separating from my ex. I was in contact with somebody I went to high school with that lived here, and that's how I ended up moving here. We ended up, getting close, and then I moved down here. I have to always think about it. I moved down here, and it was about a year, 2 years into being here, and then I started looking for a job. And I saw it on Craigslist. I mean, never would have crossed my mind. There is a Y in Anchorage, but it's a real small one. Mm-hmm. I've never really been affiliated with YMCA until now. And I can tell you it's the best decision I've ever made. I mean, it was a little off at the beginning. I mean, I think that was kind of our higher ups as to how it was, going. And then right before COVID, with Tyler coming in and everything changed. So it's his vision is my vision. And that's exactly what I want.
She brought up Tyler. Heidi, when you first met Tyler, how did that go?
Oh, it went awesome. He saw, and I honestly, I mean, it was awesome because I have a lot of respect for him, and I know he has a lot of respect for me, and I really think that it boils down to that day because he is that kind of person. We joked that him and I were locked in a room, and we hashed it out, mostly me telling my opinions, and he found out real quickly that I was somebody that I'm going to voice my opinions either way. Mm-hmm. And I think, though very kind of awkward a little bit for the both of us, I think it did a lot.
Yeah. That's why I brought it up.
I mean, I have a lot of respect for Tyler. I mean, there's things that he does that obviously, irk me a little bit. But I also know his position, and I know he has a lot more on his shoulders than I do, and I know he's doing the best that he can for us. Right. So, that's how Tyler and I's relationship started.
They got a relationship. It's kind of cool to watch. They banter. They really do banter, And I think Heidi and I actually kind of bonded over Jelly Roll.
Yeah. My other obsession, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm trying to manifest meeting Jelly Roll one of these days, and
Well,
I try everything I possibly can.
Do you like? Are you a WWE fan at all?
I am. I'm old school. I'm WWF before it all had to be weirdly changed.
Well, strangely enough, me and my son, we watched WWE through his childhood. He's 15 now, but he doesn't really watch as much anymore. But I've watched since WWF era too. That's not my point. My point is Jelly Roll is a WWE fan.
Yeah.
And he was at an event not too long ago.
No.
So my thought is if you go to an event, maybe you'll see Jelly Roll.
Maybe.
I'm trying to manifest this for you as well.
Trust me, I've tried it in many a ways. I even went so far as to, we do events at Southeast that I'm part of with an organization called Hip Hop for Love, and we do a backpack drive in August. And then this year we did a Christmas gift thing. And I literally went on TikTok, I went on social media, and I was trying to, because I knew he had done a thing through Walmart, and everybody just kept laughing at me every time. I'm like, because we were trying to figure out how to get gifts because everything was just so last minute. And I'm going to get Jelly Roll. That's what's going to occur. Obviously, it didn't happen, but it was still a very successful event. But yeah,
this year?
I've learned. I never really manifested, but Jelly Roll is my new menace. It's gonna happen.
Can we somehow I don't know? Can we start a campaign?
We can.
Like a
Jelly Roll.
Well, not a.
Like that?
No, like a literal campaign. Heidi meets Jelly Roll. Hashtag, right?
Yeah.
And we can get people to.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool to have him on
You
this?
think Jelly Roll watches our podcast?
Oh, I'm sure.
His
of it.
wife has a podcast. It wouldn't surprise me.
Does she?
Yeah.
Well, where's Jelly Roll? Where's he from?
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to do whatever it takes.
Yeah, me too. That'd be fun because we're with her all the way. Right?
We've bonded over Jelly Roll as well.
Yeah, we have.
We've talked about Jelly
We
Roll
do.
on not on any podcast,
Not
maybe.
really,
No.
I don't think.
Not
But
on the podcast.
used him in a sermon illustration not too long ago.
Yeah.
We talked about it. We've talked about several times.
I know.
We listened to
I
that
used to
whole
write
album.
I used to write about him on the Daily Bread for Ragamuffins.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I feel like
Before
we've
the
given
podcast.
him enough exposure
I think so.
that it's time for him to return the favor. So
Don't
Jelly
you?
Roll, if you're listening right now,
That's right. Tell him. Go.
we have a friend. Her name's Heidi, who would like to meet you.
Yes.
Can you make that happen?
Yes.
My biggest thing with Jelly Roll is, and it's his journey through, a lot of, obviously his is a lot more than mine. He's done a lot of, prison time, but it's his songs that, it's I'm a big music person, and I feel like music is, the journey of life, and it's how it helps you express your feelings and stuff, and I like every type of genre. I'm not just country, and obviously Jelly Roll just moved over to country, but it's the message in his songs that I think are my biggest thing, because when he sings and what he sings about is what I lived.
Right. Right.
And that's what his point of doing this is. He talks. I was just telling Roger about this thing that he went before Congress, for a new bill they're trying to do with fentanyl. And he realizes that he was part of the problem because he was a drug dealer. But again, in people's journeys, which is part of my journey, is like him, my experiences are the best way to make change. Being an ex-addict, doing time, stuff like that. Those are the best people to get that point across. Somebody that's never been through that experience usually aren't the best people to, try to fix things,
Right.
or try to bring things,
How can you
before
understand
Congress.
something you've never been in?
Exactly. And it's quite ironic that he goes and he mentions this in the speech, that he lost his right to vote, and which makes him even a bigger reason as to why this fentanyl problem, and being an ex-drug dealer, being an ex-addict, being an criminal, is what makes him the perfect person to talk about this and make a change in any way possible. And he does that with his music at his concerts. He brings up, people that have lost, people to fentanyl overdoses, and he wears it on his clothing. He has one where 190 people a day in the United States die of an overdose.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And
a lot.
it's amazing. He compares that to, if something 190 people, and because they're drug addicts, nobody really cares and it's not talked about.
Well, that's the thing with, we were talking about tapes, right?
Yeah.
And tapes actually bring you to that place where you went from trying to, right?
Yeah.
And homelessness, same thing. All these things are these insidious tapes that play in your head.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that the Y is really good at is coming alongside people
Yeah.
and helping. And while we may not have all the answers, at least we can encourage and say, we're with you all the way,
No.
right?
No.
And you stumble, we stumble, right?
Which I'm guessing is why you connected with the why so much, because I mean, hearing how you feel about, because Jelly Roll, I think the thing about his music for me is he's so authentic, and he's willing to tell the really nasty parts of his story,
Right.
which a lot of people want to hide those places. Like I don't want, but those are the places that help other people heal.
Exactly.
Which is what you were saying, and so I think it's probably a big reason why you connect with the YMCA and why you want to pay it forward in some ways, or you know.
She's got the courage to be transparent and vulnerable.
And see, and that gets me where, and you know, I'm used to being judged. I've been judged all my life. I get judged for my tattoos. I get judged for my past. I get judged for my addiction, which, you know, whatever. I've learned that that's other people's problems, not mine. But it's, you know, the judgment is there, but my journey is my journey. Somebody else's journey is somebody else's journey. I recover out loud is one of my biggest things. And if you are offended by that or you don't like that, then that's not my problem. It's my journey. It's not your journey.
I love that. I love it. Recover out loud. I love that.
I do too.
And it's like, you know, and you have to live your life the way you want to live your life. And I learned that. It took me, you know, almost 40 years old before I realized that. And I've really changed just in the last 10 years, even though I've been clean for 18. The last 10 have been just eye-opening. And I've learned that I need to take care of myself, not just everybody else, which is extremely hard for me. And I've learned the last couple of years to kind of back off. But I still need to be there for people. Right now, for the past week, one of my best friends here, she's actually in California right now, and she's having to make the call of disconnecting her brother who is declared brain dead. They've taken him all off of the machines, and so now she has to make the final call. But it was from meth that was laced with fentanyl. You know, he was a known drug addict. You know, he's got that past and stuff, but that doesn't change the fact that you still have a loved one now that you've lost.
Yeah, no
that
doubt.
she has to make that decision. I know that phone call when my brother died. I got that same phone call. I was unfortunately 19, and she's a little older, and she can process it a little bit different. But it doesn't change the fact that it's still a brother that is lost, and she has to make this hard decision. And it's just, fentanyl is such, I say this to even my coworkers, that I can guarantee you I would not be here right now if fentanyl was a thing when I was doing drugs, because meth was my drug of choice. And it's so dangerous that I guarantee you I would not be here if fentanyl. And it is a crisis that is going to take over, and it already clearly has.
Yeah, I think we've hit that tipping point, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just insane what we're seeing out there.
And it's such a little bit that does, you know, so much that can kill somebody. I think that's the scariest part of it, and how easily accessible it is.
And cheap.
And cheap, yes.
It's crazy. It costs more to get a coffee at Starbucks than you can to get
it's crazy.
It's nuts.
It's crazy.
So.
But you're telling your story, and that's a
beautiful.
huge.
I feel like that's what I mean. It's part of my journey, and again, like I said, I recover out loud, whether that offends people, whatever, you know.
I think
I do
that
what I
should
do.
be the title of this.
It already is. I already decided it was going to be recover out loud.
That's just a natural. Man. When she said it, I was ding.
It was right there.
That was awesome.
I didn't come up with it. I've heard it. Trust me. But
hey, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You said it. And
You're the one who brought it to us.
and that, man, like the power in that is recovering out loud helps other people recover out loud together.
yeah.
Wow.
And that's huge.
People need to understand that everybody's, like I keep saying, everybody's journey is different. Like I said, I mean, I don't drink every day, drink like maybe once a month, but drinking was not part of my problem. You know, drugs were part of my problem. And people got to understand that, like, you know, I can throw somebody off real quick if I'm drinking, but they know I'm a recovering addict. It's like, well, you need to understand my story, and that's why my story is told.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love it. And you keep telling it. We'll tell it and tell it and tell it.
I mean, you can ask Roger when I go to like these things that we do for WISE with, executives and stuff. They've brought us into going to these. It's whenever we have to give an example of everything, is it or is it not, my addiction and my recovery is always my example.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And so I feel like I've brought addiction to the forefront, and why? Because it is. It's, one of those things that we just don't talk about because of what it comes up with. But I've been allowed to talk about it, and it's nice to be able to do that, to have a place to do that.
Absolutely.
Right. So it's kind of like that. I talk about as you drive the car of life down the road of life and look through the windshield of the car of life, you seldom get to see what God's been up to, right? It's only when you look in the rearview mirror that you get to see what he's been doing all along. The only problem is you can't drive the car of life down the road of life staring in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
You run into a tree.
Yeah.
So you have to drive the car of life down the road staring through the windshield, which is called but you get to see where all those years ago you came into the Y for a job.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was a paycheck.
Yeah. Now, it's like you've got a whole new mission.
Yep.
You know what I mean? How cool is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See?
And it came on two fronts. You got a family, because you talked about that in the video.
Yeah.
You got a family and a family you can be on mission with together.
Yeah.
Purpose, right?
Yeah.
That's
And I've
amazing.
made, new friends through this Hip Hop for Love. The events just keep getting bigger and bigger, and the people that run the Hip Hop for Love are ex-addicts. And, so it was a safe place for me to go and do things for the community and make it bigger and bigger and, help the community. So, it's huge for me.
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool. Way cool.
Well, is there anything else you want to say before we end the podcast?
No, I just hope this helps one person. I mean, that's, my biggest goal, whether it be with, addiction or recovery or, mental health, PTSD, because, my life is wrapped up in all of that. I have triggers, it's how you do your journey and go through life and try to set those triggers aside and get through your day.
Yeah.
And if, this can help one person, then, I've done my job.
Well, I'll say that, first of all, thank you for your vulnerability. Secondly, I'm one person that you helped today. Your story is incredible.
Thank you.
And there's a lot of connections that if I started to talk about, it would be another full length.
we got
I could talk all day.
And we may do that.
We may do that.
But I just want to say, this might be my favorite podcast we've done so far.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate
And thank
that.
you for agreeing to come on and
I
be
appreciate it a lot.
open and tell your story. I don't think you have to hope that it's going to help one person. I think it's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah.
Just period.
I have one question. Now, I've been told I smell like chocolate chip cookies. Do I? No.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
Dude,
Fine.
I smell like my wife makes a really good
It's a
chocolate chip
joke.
cookie.
Don't worry. It's a joke. It's a joke.
I'm just saying you don't
took a
smell
turn.
like
I
chocolate
know.
chip. Like,
And thank you for that.
no problem.
I'm staying out of it.
Thank you, Heidi. That's just funny right there.
It is funny right there.
Don't care.
Okay. Well,
Do your
thank
thing.
you. Yes. Thank you for joining us for another episode. We want to just say subscribe, share this one out. I would say if you haven't shared a podcast out yet,
This is the one to
This
share.
is the one to share out for a couple reasons. A, this was an amazing episode and people are going to be changed. And B, because we need to get Heidi in front of Jelly Roll. So
That's right.
There's
Jelly roll.
there are reasons to share
That's
this
right.
out. Roger, anything?
Yeah, no, I love this one. Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
doing this. I really, really appreciate it. I'm excited about
Me too.
our sweatshirts. If you want one, connect with us because we're selling them.
Yeah, we are.
And so we'll get you your sweatshirt and
And a sticker with a QR code, maybe a business card,
it's not business card.
whatever.
And I got my next tattoo planned, so
Yeah, that's what we're talking about right
Yeah.
there. And if you don't,
I don't know where,
want to
but-
get tattoos, this sweatshirt has the tattoo on.
We
it.
also have bracelets.
See, we got it all.
And stickers.
And stickers.
There's stuff coming.
Just sticky
There's
stuff.
just stuff
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
So appreciate you. I love you guys a lot. Love you.
Have a great day.